We were being stupid. 5 of us riding around in Joey's truck. Joey, Jake and Jake's brother Ben up front. Ian and I in the back. All of us howling at the moon. We'd been up to the fishing hole all day and hadn't caught a thing except sunburn. Now the sun had gone down and we were flying around on the mountain roads heading home. And when I said we were howling, I meant we were really howling. The moon was full, we were tanked, and we were howling because we were pretty convinced we were big dogs. Every time we saw the moon through the tree branches we would howl. Sometimes it was only one of us. Sometimes all of us managed a good old ear-rattling howl. Then we'd laugh while the truck rattled and bounced over the old minimum maintenance road. Being in the back of the truck meant that Ian and I were being bumped and jostled around, no matter how hard we hung on. So when the truck slammed to an abrupt stop and we slammed into the cab, I banged the back window to remind Joey that there was living cargo. I didn't see what made him stop. But I saw his terrified face when he turned his head to look out the back as he put the truck into reverse and started speeding backward up the road. "What the?" I asked, then looked through the back window past Joey's terrified face, out the windshield, and saw the eyes chasing us. Lots of yellow glowing eyes. Eyes high above the ground. Deer? Deer was the only thing I could think of that tall. Why were deer chasing us up the road? Ian yanked me down so I wasn't in Joey's line of sight. The truck rattled and wavered. Backing up a mountain road in the middle of the night, fast, is dangerous. Joey almost took us off the cliff before we were around the first corner. We mired a tire in the soft edge and listed at one point. Joey rocked the truck like a madman to get us out, tossing Ian and I like ragdolls. Then I heard the howling. The creatures chasing us up the road were wolves. Giant wolves? It made no sense. Joey jolted the truck back onto the road and seemed to realize that he couldn't reverse all the way up the mountain. He started turning the truck around, a procedure that would require him to pull forward and back up 3 or 4 times. The eyes swept into view. 5 wolves. They were as big as grizzly bears but definitely canine. Ian screamed and clambered on top of the truck. I followed him, instinctively knowing that the top of the cab wasn't anywhere close to tall enough to keep us out of reach of those things. We held on desperately as Joey maneuvered the truck. I grabbed at the light kit to keep from flying off, my body swinging and swaying at each turn. Back and forth, back and forth. Joey turned and twisted the wheel and slowly we swung around. He tried running over the wolves as they swarmed around us. In return, they lunged for the windshield, their claws scratching at the side of the truck, their gazes riveted on Joey. I heard thumps as the wolves launched themselves into the front and sides of the truck. The yelp as Joey ran one over. Then Joey had the truck straightened out and roared back up the road, the truck swaying like crazy. Ian and I were flipped and tossed around, my fingers barely hanging on to the lights. Ian wasn't so lucky. When Joey hit the next pothole, Ian flew off the truck and landed with a thud on the road. I screamed in horror as the wolves immediately turned away from the truck, toward Ian. But then Ian was up and running to the nearest tree, jumping and scrambling up it like a chimpanzee. I gulped in a breath of relief. The wolves ignored the fleeing truck, gathering under the tree, but Ian was high enough. The wolves were big, but they couldn't jump that high. If Ian could hang on, we could come back with help. Then one of them, a big black one, stood up on its hind legs, then reached up to the branch above it, grasped on with a paw that shouldn't have been flexible like that, and pulled itself up into the tree. The other wolves started standing up and reaching for tree branches. And then we were out of sight. Joey never let up on the accelerator. I managed to clutch onto the top of the truck for another mile. Then Joey stopped, the passenger door popped open, and Ben hauled me off the top of the truck and inside the cab. There shouldn't have been enough room. The cab was already filled with 3 big guys shoulder to shoulder, but none of us complained about me sitting on laps. Joey immediately floored it again and we took the loop off the mountain and didn't stop speeding until we were at the police station hysterically telling our story. They believed us to a point. There had been a lot of complaints of exceptionally big wolves in the area. They sent out officers with guns who found the tire marks of the places the truck had turned around, or spun in the soft dirt. They found lots and lots of wolf tracks. But, you already know, they never found Ian. Joey, Jake, Ben and I never went back up the mountain. And we never, ever, howled again. We, most definitely, were not the big dogs.